Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I really wanted to share with you guys my breastfeeding journey. I just want to give you guys a full story from start to finish of our amazing breastfeeding journey. Also, before we get into this, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and the bell beside of it. Also, give this video a thumbs up. Today I'm going to be filming 3 videos in this room, so there's going to be 3 videos back to back with me wearing this and in this room. For my breastfeeding journey, it started out amazing. As soon as Liam came out, they put him on my breast and he latched instantly, and it was amazing. It was just this crazy feeling that you're not prepared for, and it's just the best feeling ever. And I wish that I could go back, and for our next kid I'm so excited to experience the same thing. Before we get into the story, I wanted to give you some tips on starting your breastfeeding journey. I have them written down on a list right here just so I don't forget anything. So the first one I have is keep pumping to keep your milk going. So that was something that really helped me in the beginning. When we came home, I had a lot of it starts with a C. I'll put it right here. It's the clear, like, liquid looking stuff that comes out first, and that's all that was coming out. And I remember my best friend was sitting beside me on the bed, and we were watching my boob, like, trying to get it to come out. And finally, after sitting there for like an hour of pumping on this one boob, because I think one of my boobs was just not doing as good, so I was pumping it, and we seen that first white drop, and I was like, oh my gosh, it was the biggest, like, achievement as a mom and goal as a mom. Like, it's the best experience ever. I'm gonna say that through this whole video. And the second one I have is store your milk, save up, because it is the best when you're weaning. The third one I have is, so when you are breastfeeding and your son or your daughter isn't wanting to latch, you can rub under their chin. And a nurse taught me this, but that's just one that stuck to me. So rub under their chin, and it helps them, like, I don't know, it helps Liam. So I just thought I would get that tip out there as well. So another tip that everybody needs to keep in mind is it is frustrating, and it's going to be frustrating for the both of you because you're both learning. So just keep calm, and if it's supposed to work out, then it will. Okay, so here is our breastfeeding journey, finally starting this. Okay, so I had Liam February 28th, 2017. So this is when we first started breastfeeding in the hospital, and he did so good, like, with latching. And I did write all this down too because I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything. So starting out was very easy for us. I just remember all of the nurses being like, wow, he's doing so good. But to be honest, after we got out of the main delivery room, it was so annoying. Like, the nurses were just, like, wanting to be up our booties the whole entire time about this. And, like, I was a first time mom, so I didn't know that they were going to be like that. I didn't know that they were going to be like, you need to write down the time, how much he ate, how long he ate, like, all this stuff. And I didn't know anything about this, and I just had a baby, and they would come in there, and he just ate like an hour ago, and they would come in there and wake him up. Like, this poor little baby would be sleeping, and I was so upset. Me and Daniel both were so upset because all throughout the night they would be coming in there and waking him up and latching him onto my boob, and I just wasn't comfortable with doing that because I feel like he was getting what he needed to be well rested. His diapers were full, like, he was peeing, pooping, all that. Yes, he did poop the first day, and I mean, it was just, that part was annoying to us. But after we left there, it made me realize how important breastfeeding was. So I'm pretty sure you go back to the hospital like the next few days after you come home. And I remember, you know, after I got my milk coming in, and when we left the hospital, he lost like 3 pounds or something like that. I don't know, every baby loses weight, I'm pretty sure, in the beginning, because they're not getting all that nutrients that you're getting from in your body, like, I'm pretty sure. But so we took him back, and he was back at his birth weight. That made me feel so good because, you know, all of his nutrients and food was coming from my breast milk. So it felt so good to know that I was doing something good for him. And I remember being just so worried that he wasn't getting anything, because you really can't see when you're breastfeeding unless you're pumping and giving it to them in a bottle. You really cannot see what they're eating. So that was a really hard part for me to understand, because I just wanted to make sure he was okay. So we didn't have a scale here or anything like that, but he was peeing in his diapers. I had nurses calling me all the time saying, make sure you track everything. Definitely made like this little booklet of everything, because my nurses were on me. My breastfeeding counselor, she called me all the time, and she was on to me all the time about it and making sure I was doing both at the same feedings. That was so annoying too, because when he was latched onto one boob, he would be eating for a good bit, and I didn't want to just unlatch him just to get him to feed on this side, because I was worried that he wasn't going to want to keep eating if I switched him. So I was like, okay, he's eating really good over here. So what I would do is I would feed him until he stopped on this side, and I would try over here, and if he didn't, then I would be like, okay, well then I would just pump it, so it'd kind of be on the same schedule my boobs would be. But she was really not okay with that. She was like, well, you need to at least try to take him off and put him on the other one. But you know what, he's my baby. He was still eating. I was still making sure my boobs were at the same milk production schedule. And I'm not good with any of these breastfeeding words, by the way. It's been 2 years as well. After like a few weeks, not even a few weeks, it just became so natural to us, and it felt like it was the best bonding moments of our lives. And I just remember waking up in the middle of the night and being okay with it and stuff. But you know, sometimes Daniel would wake up in the middle of the night and go warm his bottle for him. We had these this Advent bottle warmer, and I just remember like him being like, why can't you just stick up to your boob? But some nights I just wanted to sleep though, because Daniel was working on the railroad at the time. So when he came on the weekends, I was like, okay, let's always make sure that there's milk in the freezer at least on the weekends, because I wanted to sleep just a little bit, because he would wake up in the middle of the night probably once or twice, not even a lot actually. He slept so good, and I think that's just because my milk, like, he just ate really good before bedtime. But I feel like I'm bouncing all over the place right now. In the beginning, he ate probably every 3 hours. Like, it was just constant feed, sleep, feed, sleep, feed, sleep for a good 4 weeks. No, I feel like he was like 2 or 3 months old before he started slowing that off and wanting to be up a little bit more. So around 4 to 6 months, we started introducing like table food to him. Not table food, but like the oatmeal and baby food and stuff like that. And I feel like that was like kind of a hard time for me, because breastfeeding was like a really big deal for me. Like, because I was really worried that, I remember before having Liam, I was always so worried that I wasn't going to be able to breastfeed, or I was going to be able to breastfeed really well and not be able to wean him off. And like, that was just such a big worry for me in my head. But he started eating those, and he started probably eating breastfeeding, you know, just right before naps, or when he wakes up, or when he goes to bed. So it wasn't like we had a schedule. It was just kind of whenever I felt like he needed it, kind of thing. Which was still kind of all day, but wasn't as much because he was eating table food, so he was more full. He loved food as well, so that was a pretty big plus for us. So awesome facts about my breastfeeding journey. I never leaked. I never had to wear like a pad or anything. The only time I had to wear those nipple pads was when we went to this like casino for Daniel's birthday or something, and Liam stayed with his grandparents for the first time. And it was like, that's when I realized I should have brought my pump. I forgot my pump, and my boobs were hurting so bad. I think he was only 2 months old at this time. And I remember my boobs were hurting so bad that I ended up going to the bathroom and like squeezing them out. And I could only get a little bit out of a time, and I had one beer, and I'm pretty sure that made it worse. I'm not even joking, you guys. I even looked it up that night. I was like, can beer make your milk produce more? And yes, it can, because of the yeast in it. Y'all, I was like, what the heck is going on? Anyway, so that's the only time I had to wear a pad. And then another good fact about my breastfeeding journey was that I never got sore. I used the cream one time, and I think that was like the first week that I had, that we were breastfeeding, his first week of life. And that was the only time I was really sore. After 6 months to a year, it was like he would eat whenever he'd really want to, because he was eating a lot of table food by then. And at a year old, he was eating, like, starting to eat like macaroni and, you know, things like that kids can eat with a few teeth. And it was just, that was like the hardest time for me. Like, I feel like if any of you guys know what postpartum depression is, that's kind of when mine started, was when I had to wean my child off. And, you know, this was like such a big deal in my life, because so many people were like, you're gonna wean him off at 1, right? Like, you don't want to feed him past 1, right? Like, so many people were telling me this, and I didn't really know much about breastfeeding and how far you can extend it to without it being like kind of weird. And I wish I would have at least just kept breastfeeding, or just kept pumping and giving it to him as milk, because it's such good nutrients. So that was really, really hard for me. Just his 1-year birthday, I remember the birthday party and everybody just being like, so you're gonna stop breastfeeding, right? Because I remember there were people there, and he was going to bed and I went to go breastfeeding. And a lot of people were like, you're still breastfeeding? And yeah, I am still breastfeeding. But he did really good weaning off. It was just really, really hard for me. And if any of you guys are watching this and are breastfeeding right now, and you want to keep breastfeeding after a year old, keep doing it. Don't let anybody tell you what to do. Do not just, that was just, just thinking back, I hate myself for stopping. I really do, because I could have kept going. I could have kept pumping and had milk supply. It lasts forever in the freezer. The only time he ever really was like trying to nudge at my boob a little bit was one time he was trying to take a nap, and I was like rocking him to sleep because he was still little. So like sometimes I would lay his head right here and hold him like this. So just one time he like tried to get, like, you know, pushing his head into my boob, and that was the only time we ever had trouble with it. He did have a passy. He still has a passy, so that kind of helps soothe him. He still drinks out of a bottle, which we are trying to wean him off of now. He is 2, so we're trying to get rid of all the nipples now. But I think that helped him a lot with weaning. He didn't cry a lot about it. He never even noticed, I feel like. He just wants his more milk in a bottle nowadays, so that's probably going to be hard to get weaned off of, but it's fine. So I think that pretty much covers everything. I don't know what really was going on outside right now. I just had to get up. But anyways, I think that's going to conclude my breastfeeding journey. It was amazing, and I cannot wait to do it again. Thank you guys so much for watching this. Let me know in the comments down below if you enjoyed it, or if you've made a breastfeeding journey video, because I would love to watch it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye, lovelies.